What if you could give your grain facility a CAT scan? That's one way today's inspection technologies are helping operators see what is happening inside concrete structures, silos, and other hard-to-access areas, often without climbing, confined space entry, or disrupting operations. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to the show. Welcome to the Whole Grain Podcast, where we explore the people, innovations, and trends shaping the grain handling and processing industry. This show brings grain professionals together from 111 countries around the world. If you're a regular listener, thank you for being part of the growing global community. If you're new to the show, be sure to subscribe to Whole Grain on your favorite podcast app so each new episode is automatically delivered to your device as soon as it is released. The show is also easy to share with colleagues and members of your professional network. You can find each and every episode along with the show notes and transcripts also at GEAPS.com/wholegrain. We're also grateful for the support of GEAPS partner, Custom Concrete Specialists, whose commitment to the grain industry helps make conversations like this possible. My name is Jim Lenz, your host and director of global education and training at GEAPS, where our mission at the Grain Elevator and Processing Society is to champion, connect, and serve the global grain industry and our members. Today, we're exploring how modern inspection technologies are transforming facility assessments across the grain industry, from interior drone inspections to ground-penetrating radar. These tools are helping organizations improve safety, reduce risk, gain visibility into hard-to-access areas, and make smarter long-term maintenance and capital planning decisions. Joining us is Hayes Guillot, Inspection and Technology Specialist with Custom Concrete Specialists. Hayes brings a unique background in precision agriculture, drone technology, and facility inspections, helping grain organizations better understand the condition of their assets through innovative inspection technologies and data-driven insights. All that and more coming up next. Custom Concrete Specialist has you covered with concrete silo repairs, having completed over 1,500 projects. CCS is a nation's leader in structural assessments, preventative maintenance, and emergency repairs for terminal and country grain elevators. CCS is dedicated to providing advanced evaluation technology, a skilled and experienced team, and unwavering commitment to safety. CCS provides nationwide services of shotcrete liners, catastrophic failure repairs, carbon fiber solutions, crack and spalling repairs, hopper installation and repairs, and roof coatings. Visit their website at ccsgrouponline.com. Today, we're diving into a topic that every facility, regardless of size, can benefit from: how modern inspection technologies are transforming the way we assess and maintain our operations. I'm joined by Hayes Guillot. Hayes is the Inspection and Technology Specialist with Custom Concrete Specialists. Hayes, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Excited to be here. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, I know very much about your organization that you come from, Custom Concrete Specialists. They played a big role of GEAPS Exchange and a big member of GEAPS for a long time. And your role is so interesting. I know I had an interview with your CEO not too long ago, and I'll make reference to that in the show notes. But it's so great to have you. Tell us about your role. Also, I want you to tell folks about your technical background, your education. I think that's really important. Just in generally, it's very interesting, but I think it certainly relates, of course, to the topic of this show. But also tell us about how Custom Concrete Specialists plays a role in the grain industry. So if you can kind of tackle that to start, that'd be great. Thank you, Hayes.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, my background, I went to a 2-year university in Kansas and got a degree in precision agriculture. While there, I didn't even know drones played a part in ag industry. And I kind of fell into that, kind of got interested in it from a professor of mine. And he showed us kind of the basics of how to fly and kind of some of the work he's done in the past and some opportunity we had there. And it started with kind of just taking some drone photos and videos of, we had a tech farm at the industry. So while we were harvesting, we would take some cool marketing type shots for the college to promote. and then turned more into doing actual analysis of fields, multispectral, NDVI, thermal, and all that. And so from there, I was like, man, this is really cool. And this might be something that I could utilize in industry after I'm graduated. So, yeah, and then there I went into a drone position for a company that's sold to many different industries, just cutting edge equipment for everything from the geospatial survey world to the agricultural world and many different sectors, everything from your typical local farmer who wanted to get into some newer technology to help his farm efficiency wise and, not having to be out, checking fields by a car, you can use a drone, some of that. And then spraying, I did spray drones. And so a lot of that. And so that technology and that experience kind of led me to meeting Cheyenne and getting involved with CCS. And on a different, something that I was not familiar with either was the facilities. Where does that grain that we were farming and taking out of the field, where's that go next? So, and the facilities and the people that handle that. So yeah, my role is inspection and technology specialist. So I work very closely with our customers and assessing and identifying what is going on their facility, where is their repair needs, and then I use technology to assist in that.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that quick overview. Custom concrete specialists, I mean, they support these grain elevators with the concrete silos, maintaining them, repairing them. I mean, isn't it true they can last, upwards of 100 years if they're properly maintained? And that's kind of where your role comes in. So talk about that. Talk about your organization briefly and how they serve the grain industry at large.
Yeah, definitely. So CCS Group as a whole, we're here to help maintain and repair your facilities, everything from crack and patch to structural liners to roof coatings to metal bin foundations. Look, we always say we do everything to a grain bin, but build them new.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that's why inspections matter more than ever. Hayes, let's start broad. When you walk into a grain facility today, what are the most common challenges you're seeing related to inspection and maintenance?
Yeah, off the top of my head, the first thing that comes to mind is these facilities are running full speed at all times. They're very busy. So that being said, when they're running full speed like that, there's sometimes, not the ability to have an empty grain bin for the guys on the facility to go in and look at visually. And that being said, a lot of times I hear, yeah, we don't know the last time we've been able to take a look inside of that bin and see what's going on. So that's a common theme there. Or we don't know how these silos were built. We know what year they were built, but how much rebar was in the silo when they built it? What was the weather like when they built it? Did the concrete cure properly? Or did they get a freeze one day when they were trying to cure, slip and cure a portion of that silo? So that's where our technology comes in and kind of giving you a very technical, very detailed look at what's going on your facility.
Thank you. As we look at grain facilities, a lot of these facilities, I mean, there are busy places, certainly sometimes even more than others, but is part of the challenge that maintenance and inspection can become reactive instead of proactive for facilities and organizations?
Definitely, definitely. Yeah. I do hear, a lot of times of, hey, we have concrete that we found when we were loading out this bin, or oh, we're walking around the facility and we've noticed some concrete around the ground here that, when you look up, oh, that's coming from a spalled area or a cornice that's broken off and fallen. We're really lucky that it didn't hit someone, right? And so that's when they, sometimes they'll call me and say, hey, we need you to come look at this. This is what's going on. But on the flip side of that, part of my role here is educating customers on what we do so that it can be more of a proactive inspection as opposed to reactive.
Yeah. That's great. Let's kind of jump to interior and exterior drone inspections. Let's get into the technology. When people hear drone inspection, they may picture an exterior flyover, but your work at Custom Concrete Specialists includes both interior and exterior inspections. What does that look like in practice? I'm so curious.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So we use both exterior and interior drones to inspect these facilities. The interior drone is a confined space rated and designed drone. It actually was designed to go into sewers. That's what the original manufacturer designed them for. And we identified, well, if you can go into a manhole, into a sewer, why couldn't you go into a manhole in a silo, right?
Exactly. Makes sense.
The drone itself is a cage called a beach ball. It's about 20 inches by 20 inches round. It has thermal, LiDAR, a 4K camera. Yeah, it's a great tool. So kind of the workflow is we most of the time go in from a top manhole opening and inspect the roof structure, the beams, and then the openings, the vents, all of that that's up there, all of the walls all the way around. And then if the silo is completely empty and we have access to the hopper area, we'll go all the way down and look at the hopper area. And what makes this really nice is the ability to get right up close to a problem area or to a beam pocket, as opposed to, traditional ways of inspecting the interior silos. Whereas to go down in a bosun's chair with a flashlight, a camera, and kind of swivel your way around and try to take pictures, but there wasn't really a way to get up against the wall to really inspect those cracks and issues. And then the exterior. So the exterior is just a small exterior drone, and it is very helpful in looking at the exterior cracking on the silos, as well as the roof areas, the cornice, and in those tight apex walls. Makes it really a really handy tool, as opposed to using some binoculars to go look up there and trying to take a picture through some binoculars.
Right. Yeah, you're kind of taking a chance and taking a risk and really not getting a sound understanding of what the shape or condition of the silo is. That's so interesting. I mean, interior inspections are especially interesting in this industry because there's so many places that are, like you said, so hard to access. And this drone technology and CCS group and decisions they make in executing and supporting facilities, I mean, that's making the biggest difference inside a facility, isn't it?
100%. And, our goal with using all this technology as well is to be able to give all of this information to the customer to help them make decisions as well based on actual hard evidence. And
Hmm.
then it also helps us internally when we're recommending repairs or proposing repairs to these facilities. We can go back and review this data and say this spot specifically needs to be fixed at this elevation on this heading, all of that. So it helps all around for sure.
CCS Group has clearly made the decision to leverage technology that exists and ever changing technology. So, and then the people skills that are required to do that. And that's where you come in here, along with your CEO, who's been a big supporter of this and a practitioner himself. But you've really helped that organization. So this is great to have someone like you to talk about this. I'm curious, from a safety standpoint, what changes when you send technology into a space instead of sending a person?
Definitely. Yeah. At very basic level, you're not putting a person in there, right? You're not putting a person in there and exposing them to harmful gases, fall risk, even in a bosun's chair, you have to, there's a lot of risk there. You're being suspended down. When our guys, are working inside the silo doing repairs, there's hole watch and air monitoring. There's a lot that goes into that to make sure that when someone is inside of a silo, that they're in there and everything pertaining to their work environment is safe.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
taking that out of the equation is definitely a big advantage.
Yeah. Safety, so critical. And then not only safety, but efficiency in terms of this case, from an efficiency standpoint, how does this help the client?
Yeah, so the efficiency, I mean, I can inspect a silo in about 10, 15 minutes average
Is that
as
right?
opposed,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. And and most of the time when I'm out there doing inspections, it's multiple silos, right?
Mhm.
So to be able to do each silo in about 10, 15 minutes, depending on the size of the silo, it makes it really, really efficient. And actually, a lot of times my customers are surprised about how quickly we can do this. A lot of the time they're like, "Oh, this is going to be a multiple day thing, right?" Oh, no, most of the time I can do all this in a day or part of a day even.
Fantastic. So I know you mentioned a little bit ground penetrating radar, which is seeing below the surface, right?
Yep.
Let's shift below the surface. Ground penetrating radar. Let's focus on GPR, ground penetrating radar. Maybe unfamiliar to some listeners. So let's just go into that. How would you describe to our listeners what it does in just plain language?
Yeah, the way I always describe it to someone is it's a CAT scan of your silo. So ground penetrating radar is sending radar waves into a structure or into a slab. When those waves hit a hard surface, they come back at different rates, which
Mhm.
shows visually. So on a silo, we are looking for the rebar a lot of times,
Mhm.
the depth of the rebar and the depth of the wall as a whole.
Mhm.
Currently, we get a boom lift. I have a scanner. It looks like a remote control car almost. It's got a
Mhm.
handle, and I push it up against the silo, and we go all the way up to the cornice, and that's recording every single piece of rebar in that silo and where it's placed.
Wow, you're doing what the medical field has been doing a while. You're taking this to the grain facilities. I would imagine the reactions by some people who are there, maybe observing you, or what is their reaction like when they first see that?
Yeah, they are really, really impressed by, even if because a lot of times what I would do is I'll show them the first 3 or 4 feet as I
Hmm.
go up, and then it shows on the screen, and I can kind of scroll back and say, okay, here's the first piece of rebar we found, and then 5 inches up, here's another one, and then the
Yeah,
next one is 7 inches. So I can show them in a very small span of measurement, 4 or 5 pieces of rebar and they're like, "Wow, this is pretty crazy."
that's great. So it's a little bit of what ground penetrating radar is, GPR. We'll hear that. But let's talk about the value that GPR provides in grain facilities and industrial settings.
Yeah, so in grain facilities specifically, a lot of times when I'm doing my brief with a customer, my before I go out to the site, kind of getting everything together, I always ask if they have construction blueprints from or engineer drawings from when the silo was originally constructed. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Mhm.
If they do, then what's great about that is we can compare what the silo was designed to have
Mhm.
rebar wise and construction wise versus what we actually found. And if that's apples to apples.
Right. They align.
And yeah, and if they don't, then no harm, no harm, no foul. We're gonna find out where that rebar is, right? What we're doing is identifying if there is sections of the silo or a silo as a whole that is structurally deficient or lacking rebar.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. What a great tool. Because before GPR, ground penetrating radar, everything else was an assumption. And you can do improve a facility, but by having an organization, a partnering organization like CCS Group, you really are discovering almost everything you can for the support structure. I mean, what kinds of issues can GPR help identify before they become more serious?
Yeah, the biggest one is the structural deficiency or lacking rebar. So if they didn't place enough rebar in, or even if they put the rebar too far to the inside or too far to the outside, that's going to show in some different ways. Too far to the outside shows with more cracking and spalling on the outside. And too far to the inside would be the same. You're going to have cracking and spalling on the inside, which we can then also see with that internal drone. And then based on, a calculation of height, diameter of the bin, we can identify how much rebar was supposed to be in there versus what
Mhm.
was actually found, and give you kind of a percentage of deficiency that structure has.
That's fantastic. One thing I find valuable is that this is not just an inspection, it's also documentation. What does the client receive when the inspection is complete?
They receive every bit of information that I've collected in reports, very detailed reports. So specifically with the GPR, it's going to be a chart slash graph type report that shows the elevation at which every piece of rebar was found, the spacing of the rebar, and then the depth of the rebar in the silo.
Mhm.
And that's going to be actually coded as well to anything outside of the standards. So if we had those original engineered drawings that I previously mentioned, and I put those in there, I could say if it was hypothetically supposed to have a piece of rebar every 6 inches, well, anything over that 6 inch mark is going to show up highlighted as like identified. Oh, this is over that standard. And same with the depth of the rebar. If it was supposed to have 2.5 inches of concrete coverage, anything less than 2.5 inches of coverage is going to be highlighted. It's very easy to give that to a customer and explain what that is. We're very available all the time to get on meetings, to board meetings, or to phone calls, or web meetings, whatever that may
Mhm.
be, to talk through the data. And then on the interior drone inspection, you'll get a very detailed, we call it the POI reports, points of interest. And that's going to have a photos that I've taken and labeled as to where that issue was found in relation to the northwest, east, south
Right.
headings, elevation data, and even temperatures, as well as they'll get the complete drone video and LiDAR, a LiDAR point cloud as well. So that gives them LiDAR. For those who aren't familiar with that, is a light imaging detection and ranging. And so that is, in layman's terms, think of a laser pointer. You point it at a wall and you move it to through a doorway. That point's going to hit further down, and then that LiDAR will hit a hard surface, comes back, and it creates a 3D model of whatever you're flying in. So you get
That's
all of that. Yeah.
that's amazing. So I'm curious, you mentioned a couple people who your team from CCS Group might meet with. You have these deliverables, right? So you show them how the visuals and what the facility looks like. You got these reports. Who are you often meeting with? What are their roles with the organization or for the facility? All in all, obviously, maintenance is key. New projects are much more expensive, right, than
Mhm.
oftentimes maintaining. So who's in the room and what kind of impact they have? Because I would imagine a lot of people who are using these services that you offer maybe seeing this, experiencing this, sensing this for the first time. So who's doing it? And I want to know, what are some of their reactions when you show them this
Right.
this information?
Yeah, definitely. So it's usually the site manager. It's the a lot of times it's board meetings. So the members of the board and the site manager, all the decision makers are in that room. And so a common thing that I see is you have your site manager who is aware, or you sometimes aware of some of the issues, and have tried to explain that, or been told, or told higher ups about that. But just being able to see what he was actually explaining in photos and videos really, really opens the eyes and really brings to light either the severity of the issue or the urgency, if that's what's needed.
To take along to that response in my question earlier, do you find that seeing the condition of the facility on video or in photos changes the conversation sometimes?
Yeah, definitely. What I always say is when you can put the proof in the pudding and show them exactly what's going on and where it's at, it definitely shifts that conversation to, okay, what is the repair, right? We
Right.
go from the inspection to, okay, what is that proposed repair now? And so it definitely helps with taking the guesswork out of the repair needs. And yeah, and then kind of steering that conversation to that solution for what was found.
Great. Let's move this conversation now over to early detection and proactive planning. Let's talk about that early detection phase. What types of issues are you able to identify at early stages because of these technologies?
Right, yeah. So some things such as cracking and spalling based on the GPR data, we can kind of identify areas that would be prone or susceptible to cracking, spalling, delamination.
Can you share
Um,
with me spalling? What do you mean by that?
so cracking and so obviously cracking and then spalling would be those cracks that have spread so much that the concrete starts falling out.
Oh, wow.
And you start seeing like on the outside, on the exterior of the silo, a lot of times spalling will occur around where the rebar is.
Right,
So you'll get a crack, and then over natural freeze thaw, moisture gets into those
right.
cracks, freezes, corrodes that bar as well, and then starts pushing that concrete out.
Great clarity. So you mentioned you may see cracks, wear, spalling, and then you said deterioration. What other things you might see in there?
Yeah, yeah. So then, just like I touched on earlier, the structural integrity of the silo. So even on a fairly new built silo that may not be showing any signs of distress or any cracking yet, if that rebar was placed improperly in areas, we can identify that early on before those cracks start to show their face and say, okay, you may see in the future some cracking in this elevation or some damage in this elevation.
What is the difference between catching something early and catching it after it has become a major problem?
Earlier is, gives you time to figure out a game plan, and it saves customers money. If you can catch something earlier when it's a smaller issue versus down the road when it becomes a larger problem, then you're saving the facility downtime to do a smaller repair versus down the road when it's a larger repair and that facility needs a little bit more downtime in order for that repair to be completed.
I would imagine that people are listening to this episode, and maybe it was shared with them, this episode of the Whole Grain podcast by GEAPS, that the people there in the facility may have not used or seen these tools before. And they're like, oh boy, what's a good starting point? We think we need to have some this done, or maybe we don't, and we don't think, but we just want to be sure. I mean, there's a big spectrum here. So what is a good starting point?
Yeah, a great tool and a great thing that I try to offer to anyone who's not sure what the technology can do and wants to learn more about it would be lunch and learns. I call them lunch and learns. I come in, I buy lunch for all y'all. We sit down. I give you a presentation, and we have an open discussion about what this technology is capable of. I show you some example reports, some videos. I even bring the drone and the technology with me, and we can go out and play with it, and I'll show you what it's capable of. So that's definitely something that I try to do with all of our customer or potential customers that are interested in learning more about what we offer.
Lunch and learn sounds fantastic. Also, to need breakfast, and this is right around lunchtime. Shouldn't have mentioned that. Now I'm even hungrier. No, that's great, Hayes. That is actually fantastic that you do that. It's very approachable. We want to be your partner. Here's how we could support you. These are the tools we use. That's a fantastic way to go about that. Do you see these tools becoming more of a standard part of facility maintenance and capital planning?
Definitely. Yeah. Technology in every industry is always evolving. And I go to, as we were kind of talking about even before we started, Jim, was the amount of trade shows that I attend and that CCS group attends. And I'm constantly seeing new technology to help with efficiency and safety and to kind of mitigate risk. And so I see that technology is becoming more of a everyday thing, more implemented in our industry, especially, but in every industry. To kind of touch on another subject, these drones, I mean, when we first started using drones, we actually used a different drone, and then the manufacturer that we work with came out with a newer version of it that had more tools and actually gave you more insight, like the LiDAR. The LiDAR wasn't on our first drone. And so when that came out, we saw the use of that and just how valuable that could be in helping our customers and identifying problems.
Oh, that's fantastic. Hayes, as we wrap up, what do you want listeners to think differently about when it comes to facility inspections?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the earlier we can detect stuff and the earlier we can get in there and look at your facility, the less downtime you'll face. And also, I wanted to kind of touch on the idea of coming in and doing a initial inspection, and then even if no issues were found, just kind of a routine every couple years, every year to monitor and to just see rate of change if things are changing over time. So if we can get on like an inspection schedules, that's also a very valuable thing that a lot of our customers are starting to get with us.
Hayes, you've been an absolute wonderful guest. This content is surely needed in our industry, and we need more of that. So I thank you, Hayes, for being the guest, but also your CCS group, and also for being a partner with GEAPS, a part of the partner program to make this episode possible. But it is so critical. And so people may have questions, right? Or follow up, and they want to know how to contact you, how to contact your organization, because you do make a big splash at Exchange. And those who go there, I've seen your branding and your booth and all the great conversations and the people and the force that you bring there. You put a lot of investment into GEAPS Exchange. We thank you and your organization for that as well. And that's a great opportunity. But right now, this is a podcast and it can easily get shared anywhere. And so what is the best place for people to reach out now if they're listening to you? How do they reach out to you and CCS Group?
Yeah, they can give me a call. They can call into the office. Our website has great information on kind of what we do.
And that website again is?
Our website is ccsgrouponline.com.
All right. I will be sure to put that in the show notes. Also make reference to my interview with previous episode that I did with CCS Group is with your CEO, Cheyenne Wolford. And that's a great episode to listen to as well. I think these two partner well together. So we thank CCS Group. We thank you, Hayes, for being such a big voice in the grain industry. And I know this is probably odd to you if you were in the 20s and you're thinking, I don't know if I'm going to work in the grain industry. Well, guess what, Hayes? It's global impact. You feed, fuel, and clothe the world in what you do in a unique way. And like you said in a previous conversation and earlier here, you didn't know much about the grain industry, but you had a curious about what you're doing now, and you're learning and growing, even to be a pilot yourself. You're trained to do that. So you're just a very curious person, and you like technology, and you can see how it can serve and solve problems in terms of safety and lowering costs for people and expenses to repair, because you can keep these concrete silos going, and obviously they play a big role in all that. So thank you for serving as guest. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I loved it. This was an awesome experience for me. So I really appreciate you having me.
You're welcome.
Hayes, thank you for sharing your expertise and giving us a behind-the-scenes look at how technology is transforming facility inspections throughout the grain industry. We also want to thank Custom Concrete Specialists for their continued partnership with GEAPS and their commitment to helping grain facilities operate more safely, efficiently, and proactively. And to our listeners, here are a few questions to reflect on as you return to your operation. What areas of your facility have not been thoroughly inspected in recent years? Where might hidden risks exist exists that you simply cannot see today? And how could better data and visibility improve your maintenance, planning, safety efforts, and capital investment decisions? If you'd like to continue learning about this topic, I encourage you to check out a previous Whole Grain podcast episode I did featuring Hayes colleague Cheyenne Wolford, CEO and President of Custom Concrete Specialists. That episode is titled Innovations in Grain Silo Maintenance Drone Inspection Services. We'll also include a link in the show notes along with additional information about Custom Concrete Specialists and the technologies discussed in today's conversation. And while you're exploring resources, be sure to visit GEAPS at GEAPS.com. That's GEAPS.com. GEAPS exists to champion, connect, and serve the global grain industry and their members. Whether you're looking to strengthen your technological knowledge, develop your leadership skills, or stay current with industry trends, GEAPS offers a wide range of professional development opportunities, including online courses, webinars, the GEAPS video library, the grain industry glossary, chapter events, leadership programs, and of course, GEAPS Exchange, the biggest and best event in the grain handling and processing industry. You may also want to explore the globally recognized GEAPS credentialing program. Earning a GEAPS credential demonstrates to employers that you possess the knowledge, experience, commitment, and determination to grow professionally and contribute at higher level. For employers, credentialing is a powerful tool for training, developing, and retaining employees while helping attract the next generation of grain industry talent. Whether you're pursuing a professional growth opportunity or building stronger workforce, GEAPS Credentials provides a clear pathway for continued learning and career advancement and enhancement. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with a colleague, maintenance manager, engineer, facility supervisor, and anyone responsible for safety and reliability of grain facilities. And don't forget to subscribe to the Whole Grain Podcast on your favorite podcast app so new episodes are automatically delivered to your device as soon as they are released. Thank you for joining the network of grain professionals from 111 countries around the world who listen to this show, the Whole Grain Podcast. I'm Jim Lenz, Director of Global Education and Training at GEAPS, the Grain Elevator and Processing Society. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, continue learning, and thank you for helping feed, fuel, and clothe the world.